LinkedIn rolling out its freelance marketplace. I mean, and when we say LinkedIn, we really mean Microsoft because they're owned by Microsoft. As far as I know, this is the first move, and I'm trying to think, surely it's the first move of like a freelance marketplace nature by any of the big players. Um,
Yeah. It's an interesting move. I was thinking about it in the context of LinkedIn, obviously being a social network, and it's the only social network that really is work related. But I also feel like even though it's work related, it's very restricted to a particular type of work, and that tends to be sort of, I think, in the marketing space, anything that really requires networking, executive level sort of stuff,
but very
whatever
much
that looks like.
professional, like
Yeah,
professional services. Yeah.
so then bringing in this freelance platform to compete with Fiverr and Upwork, and I think Fiverr and Upwork, I'm not super familiar with them, but my understanding is that it's a lot of sort of graphic design, consulting,
Again, professional
copywriting.
services, but
Yeah,
but yeah, digital, well, digitally deliverable professional services is
yes.
what I would say.
Yeah. I just think that this will open up a new avenue of potential accounts or users, I suppose, into LinkedIn who are in that freelance space
Oh,
and
yes.
previously weren't super keen to go into LinkedIn and have that really manual networking kind of thing that they'd have to do, because this gives them a proper platform to build that network and build a reputation on LinkedIn where there are professionals that want these services. So I think it's a really interesting move. I think it's a really smart move. It'll be interesting to see how it does play out and whether it can compete with Fiverr and Upwork, who are obviously reasonably established in that space. Um,
Well,
but
they've
yeah, I mean,
apparently,
it's bringing the work to the audience.
yeah, apparently they ran a closed beta in the US that led to 2 million users. Now, that doesn't say, I assume that's 2 million people interacting on the platform, whether they're sellers or
I thought it
buyers.
was, yeah, an increase in 2 million users from the testing, was my understanding. I could be off on that.
Well, it's saying that this is a TechCrunch article saying that it's already picked up 2 million users from among the nearly 800 million users. So
Okay.
I think, yeah, it's just 2 million users were sort of interacting. But again, I like, I wonder what that number really means. Like, is that sort of, Kelsey going on from her LinkedIn to check out the marketplace, or is it you buying something? It's almost certainly doesn't represent the number of like sellers or service providers on there. That's way too big a number. But like I said, I think it's interesting that these they're the biggest like established company, Microsoft, to get into this space where they have a platform that delivers services like this. I mean, Facebook has Marketplace, but it's nowhere near the same. I feel like, see, with Fiverr and Upwork, they have a reputation for a certain quality of work, right? And Facebook Marketplace versus, say, something like Gumtree or eBay, they certainly have their reputations, but those reputations we don't directly correlate with the brand or with the company itself. Where when you do professional services like this, I think you start to correlate your brand with the quality of those services. So if you have inferior service providers, I think that could, quote unquote, cheapen the LinkedIn brand. But then again, maybe it's a good way for Microsoft to get into this space without putting the Microsoft name on the line, and it's just the LinkedIn name on the line.
Yeah. I don't know how LinkedIn has been performing, but it'll be interesting to see how this has an impact. Is I mean, I have LinkedIn, but like, I don't think I ever actually go on there and scroll or do anything because it's just so full of those inspirational. I picked up $1 today and I gave it to a homeless person. It's
Yes.
just like, I
Okay,
can't
so
deal
it's
with
not just
those.
me. That's
Yeah,
that's
no,
all it is. Or like I grew up with a family of mice and didn't have food for 10 years, and
yeah,
now I own a pest control company. No, that's sadistic,
uh,
um but it's just that sort of stuff like that. I want to see work related things, not people patting themselves on the back, really. Like, oh, and I'm not doing this to, pat myself on the back, but just saying that if more people gave, ex prisoners a chance, that they too might find their next VP of sales. Like, it's just silly. So I think, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I wonder if it'll cheapen the brand. I wonder what sort of spaces they'll end up being. I think Fiverr and Upwork, have a certain reputation. Even talking about 99 Designs, certain reputation there, especially if you're a professional within any of those spaces. So I guess we've got to wait and see.